Hi guys, we're just waiting for everybody to come back. Yeah, perfect. Wow, do you know, the conversations.
I know.
Mind blowing.
I know.
Absolutely.
We were just talking to Rob.
Yeah, so we're going to join back Rob into the conversation. Just bear with us.
For those of you just joining us, we have been discussing what's happened recently in the US and, you know, the kind of global pandemic of racism and what we can do as individuals to resolve that. So Rob was talking about healing and trauma. So Rob, do you just want to pick up on where you left off?
Yes, I was just saying about the health, you know, the physical and the mental, you know, our diets, all these things. We're not in a fit enough state to take on the things we need to take on around responsibility and boundaries because we're so traumatized and the layers are deep. So we have these desires, you know, why aren't we able to do this? Why are we struggling at that? Why is this so difficult? It's because our best self isn't present every day to take on the challenges. You know, we're just like a wounded animal that just drags ourselves around, but with the desire to do certain things. So we just end up frustrated and we just pass that frustration on each other, etc., etc. So to me, one of the biggest things that hasn't been spoken to, we have to restructure the family and what that means. From when we live and the man and woman cannot live together as one and bring children into this world and raise them together in a family environment with love and tenderness, etc., etc., we can't get past go, in my opinion. And we don't speak to that. You know, we need to rebuild. That's the foundation, the family. This is where a child learns how to, because parents role model. Your first role model are your parents from a very young age. They're your first educator. It's not about academia. It's about what happens in the home. And that is our responsibility. The system can't come in your yard and teach you how to raise your children.
Come on now.
The system can't come in your house and teach you how to love your woman and your woman love you. Mm-hmm. That's our responsibility. If we can't get that right, forget the rest.
Forget it. That's the foundation, because that's the foundation of it all.
So
it's like trying to build a house on a rocky foundation. It's impossible.
So how do we do that? We know that our family structure was broken down over centuries, right? We're going to talk about we're going to bring it back to slavery again, because that's where the destruction started from in terms of our structure, our community structures and our family structures. How do we start to rebuild something that was broken down over centuries? Where do we start?
You have to heal, going back to the same thing. If you know you have certain defense mechanisms, intergenerational trauma is a real concept, then we have to seek help. Mm-hmm. That help could be through research and online you could probably research things which will speak to these conditions and how they can support us. We have black psychologists, we have black medical practitioners, although many of our practitioners are also traumatized. So some of them are doing the inner work and some are not. But this is where it starts, and we have to be real about that. And without that, all the other things are aspirations where we will stretch too far and fall because we won't have the inner strength. I mean, you know, even the concept of how we love. How we love each other, how we love ourselves, and how we love our children. We have to rewrite the narrative. We know what the system's done to us. We know what the system's tried to do to us. But unless we take responsibility, we cannot expect the system to change for us.
But how do we get into the mindset? Because I hear what you're saying about responsibility, but you've got to remember there's a large proportion of us as black people that don't even want to take the responsibility, that we need help. You understand what I'm saying?
But that's role modeling. So it's role modeling. So if I take responsibility for me and how I roll and be vulnerable in the right forum and speak to my issues in the right forum, and I'm supported and I change, someone around me is going to say, Rob, you've changed. What happened? I said, because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And they're like, rah. Now, and it's happened. So I have interactions with people who are relatives of mine who have realized that, and friends, and then they've changed. They've gone on a journey. and some who were on the journey before me. But we don't have the leadership. You know, when we have politicians spouting the same old crap, and I'm saying that, no, irrespective of party, we don't have leaders with the right mantra speaking to the right things. Once we have people of note, our footballers, our rappers, our MCs, our journalists speaking to these concepts of we must rebuild our family, we need to deal with this, we have intergenerational trauma, we need to come together, we mustn't teeth each other, we must learn to love in the right way, and people who don't are pointed out, who are not doing the right things within our system, then we have a problem. But we have the people that can do it. We have the influencers.
So it's really so it's those people that's in leadership positions or have influence. They need to be pointing these things out. They need to be saying, right, this is where it starts from. This is what we need to do for Black people.
Well, because they do it to sell night trainers.
Come on now.
They do it to sell Yeezys. They do it for everything else. So who's going to do it for the culture? And we have to hold them accountable. And that's the other thing. We don't hold our leaders accountable. So they can do all kind of joke business, and we're like, oh, but don't say negative about them because they represent us. They're not supposed to be representing us. They're supposed to be helping us to build us.
Come on, come on.
They're there because of us.
Come on. Because if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't be them. Do you know what I'm saying? But even still, it's even using their power to even say, you know what, if you don't make these changes, I ain't playing. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I know it sounds like I'm being a bit drastic, but it's like we need to, in order for change to happen, we have to take the power back.
Yeah. I mean, Carla's just said something. Coach Carla said, we can't depend on them, in inverted commas. Like you said, it's got to start with us. It has to start. It has to start with yourself.
So I am the leader I expect others to be. I enact that level of leadership. And I role model the leader I want to be. And I expect from others. It starts from within. The healing, it starts from within. It starts with me. I have to be responsible for that because I know no one else in the system is responsible for that but me. And then I align with others who are on the same journey. I am fortunate that I met the Oracle. Like I say, I roll like Neo. I left the UK as part of my journey. I lived abroad, slowed down, lived in the Caribbean. Then I found others on a journey who then opened things up for me. And I've come back now, but I'm like Neo. Things in this system, I can just, because I've gone away, dealt with trauma, and I've aligned myself with like-minded people who are on the journey, who understand where it starts, and I've aligned myself to them. Yes, sometimes you wobble, but if you have the awareness, then you try and take corrective action.
Definitely. Rob, you know what? You've dropped so many gems on us right here. We are conscious that there are other people who want to join, but I just want to sum up some of the gems that you dropped, because it is about trying to find solutions to this global problem of oppression, especially of people of color. You spoke about healing, starting with self, and the healing of the Black race and self-healing. We have faced so many traumas that we just keep plodding along and we don't deal with those traumas. We need to heal. Like you said, whether that is to read a book, to find a therapist, whatever it is, to do family sessions. This is something that I'd love to do with my family, to do family sessions for the healing of trauma that we have faced and that we continue to face. That's the first thing. Be accountable is what you said. Hold people accountable as well.
Take responsibility.
Be responsible is what you've said. And align yourself, your circle, with people who are of the same mindset and they're on the same journey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob, so much.
Don't do toxic people. You're welcome anyway. You're welcome, and I wish you all well. And yeah, let's carry on the journey, man. Let's just carry on the journey.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, Rob. You have a blessed evening, and we will get there together.
Yeah, indeed.
God bless you. Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome, bye.
Wow. So many gems.
So many gems that he dropped. Next, we're just conscious of the time. We want to give as many people the opportunity to speak. So Rio, we're requesting you now. And Nana, you're next. Nana, you haven't sent a request yet, but you've made some very valuable comments in this live. and you did say that you would be joining, so we expect to hear from you too, Nana. Rio?
Okay, you got me. Sorry,
no,
lady.
We can't see you. We can hear you.
Hold on. 1 second. I'm in my car. I was hoping that the light would be bright enough. 1 second. I'm not sure.
Step into the light, brother.
Let me step into the light. Hold on. So you know I don't do this live stuff often. Jeez, what's going on here?
How are you anyway? You can talk while you're trying to step into the light. How are you? Talk about how. Well, first of all, tell us who you are and what you do.
All right, cool. Rio McLaren, also known as J Change, the Love Child. One of the co-founders of Manhood Academy. I'm a activist, a songwriter.
What is Manhood Academy?
Because not everybody knows about Manhood Academy.
Yeah, why can't I get my picture up? This is crazy. Sorry, ladies. Yeah, this is crazy. 1 second. Yeah, Manhood Academy is a rites of passage program for young black boys. Big up brother Kwame, who was highlighting the work that we do. You know, it's about empowering our youth, bend the tree while it's still young. So we have young boys from the age of 8 to 12 and 13 to 19. We've taken them out of their comfort zone, whether it be taking them to Amsterdam, taking them to the Gambia, taking them, you know, to the Midlands, which the documentary's on the BBC. Literally, you know, the errors
you skirted over that. You skirted over that too quickly. Documentary on BBC. Can you just?
All right, thank you. Yeah. There's a documentary on BBC iPlayer called "This Is My Life." I definitely recommend everyone watch it. It heavily highlights the potential of our young black boys. We took 15 of them, 13 to 19-year-olds, and we took them for a week. So the bond that we had was like big brothers. We spoke about the things that they don't get to speak about.
Where did you take them? Where did you take them?
There's past Avon Tyrrell, you know, like the
You took them out in the country. That's what I'm trying to say.
They get to see horses and all sorts. They was in the sticks. You know, we gave them regimes, early morning disciplines, and, you know, just simple things that if there's a man in your house, you would expect to be taught these things. So they had, you know, big brothers giving them the kind of guidance that we were given, and some of the things that we weren't given, because that's the whole importance of this, is to correct the errors that wasn't passed down or didn't work, you know. So like the brother that was just speaking before, I'm so sorry about not having my screen on, guys. I'm not someone.
It's okay, Rio. It's about what you say. We'd love to see your gorgeous face, but
yeah, you don't want to hide, you know. So I feel a bit like I'm not being authentic. People might think, how's this guy got all this chat, but we can't see him. So it's not that. Please forgive me. But yeah, like the brother that was just speaking, everything's about the being responsible and being proactive with that responsibility. So I have to constantly work on myself. Like you two beautiful sisters, I know the work that you're doing. You know, sometimes we're speaking offline, you know, doing works like Landmark Forum. There's certain things that have allowed me to be able to make a difference in other people's life. You don't just wake up, read a book, and then all of a sudden you've got what it takes. But I think if we all start looking at additional training for ourselves, you know, that's one of the key things. Like that could easily be reading a book that 5 of your friends have recommended, or it could be, oh, what's that Landmark Forum? Let me go and invest in myself. You know, it could be going to regular events that, you know, have an impact in making a difference in your community. There's so many things that there's not one hat that fits all. But what I would say is that when we talk about the self-love, because we all know self-love is at the root of all this, but let's be more specific. When I envision self-love, I have to first and foremost say the changes that I had to make for myself when I'm dealing with self-love is, as a young man from the ends, you know, you grow up, you got your peers, and you use certain profanities. Like the word nigger used to be normal. I used to use it in my lyrics. You're mad. No one in my team can refer to me as a nigger. I'm not your nigger. I never have been your nigger. I never will be. So being accountable for the languages that we use and we accept, calling our sisters bitches and hoes, and our sisters accepting that, dancing to these tunes. You know, like, these are the basic things. You can go to the DJ and say, guess what? I'm boycotting you, you know, because you don't have no respect for yourself and you don't have no respect for me. Yeah? So if we don't do these basic things, because everyone likes to play music, everyone likes to hear these tunes, but look at what it's doing to us. We're allowing ourselves to be called outside of our names, called the same names that slave masters cracked the whip on our back and used, and then we're out here saying, you get it? So self-love has to come with these basic things. Start sticking it on people who are not actually being aware of the power they have and the impact they're making. So when you're DJing and you're playing certain tunes that are inciting, you know, another black man to kill another black man, that's when everyone should just stop. Everyone just stand still in the dance, and then it's like, oh yeah, sorry, that tune can't run again. It's very simple. You feel me? Very simple.
But even, I love what you're saying, Rio, but I've had conversation with men, and you know, where they listen to certain kind of tunes, hip hop tunes, or they speak in a certain way, and I say, could you refrain yourself from swearing, or do we have to listen to things like that? And you know, what I find is, it's more or less what their response is, but that's just how I am. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, we're so conditioned in a way that we just say, this is just who I am. We're not taking responsibility, because not everybody sees things the way that you see it. And that's the reason why we do have certain artists still continuously making money based on these kind of music that's still keeping us oppressed, you know, and we're still saying, this is just who I am. And I don't get that. I really don't.
And you know what? I fully hear what you're saying. And that's why I go back to the importance of us holding them accountable, because sometimes that person doesn't know the severity of it until the action, you know, gets met. And the action is just the community saying, you know what, I'm not that tune there. Because remember, we follow trends. As much as we set trends, we follow trends. So if I'm in the middle of the dance and I'm hearing that, you know, I wouldn't feel no way in approaching the DJ booth as a mic man, you know what I mean, and saying, yo, in 2020, my people, do you feel me? Like, with all that's going on, yeah, like, you have to have a few leaders, a few people who's not ashamed, not embarrassed, don't care about who likes it, yeah, who's gonna say certain things that's gonna leave people thinking, boy, you see, the next time I play that tune, what if that brother's in the club, or what if another person, like, right? So we have to all start saying, you know what? I'm just gonna go and sit down now. All you hot ladies, when you hear man playing them tune, they're calling you out, just go and sit down. The DJ will have to take note and be like, oh, what's wrong with the tune? Oh, you understand?
What
so
you're actually saying, Rio, sorry to cut you, but what we're actually saying is, we've spoken about, because obviously we want to talk about solutions and what each and every one of us can do to make the much needed, long way overdue change in the world. So what you're saying is, if you hear music like that with a narrative that is negative and is derogatory towards us as black people, call it out.
There you go.
Call out racism. You're in a dance, you call it out. Make a stand to make a change. And it starts with one person, and each person. So because I get what you're saying, some people say they're just like that. Well, then they're not ready for the change, but that doesn't mean you can't speak your truth and tell them what it is. But it's down to them. I hear you, but then I think this is where we get the conflict. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is where we still continuously fight amongst ourselves as black people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's like, I have an opinion, you have an opinion. It's like, okay, but this is who I am. But that's how many things in the world get resolved. You have to come to a place where you're able to have intelligent dialogue. I may not agree with what you say, you may not agree with what I say, but one thing we have to do is, first of all, respect each other's opinions. Respect. And the second thing is that we have to start a conversation with the intent of listening, not with the intent of the right to jump to a defense and the right to reply. A conversation needs to start with the intent of listening. That's where the education starts. That's where the understanding and indeed the overstanding starts. So we need to get to that place. Rio, you still with us?
Yeah, no, come on. You see where my sisters
Oh, no, we can't. We can't see you.
I know, but just know that I like to listen intently because, again, these are little things. Just the level of respect means that, you know what? It's good that people have to check in, because if it was over the phone, you would have to say, are you still listening? You feel me? So you've got to start giving each other that power. It's like, wow, you know, that silence. I thought you hung up. No, I'm hearing you, you know, and we're in a time now where we have to demand that level, because everyone wants to, hold on, let me speak, you know, as you would know from Landmark, they say always already listening. So if I'm talking and you want to talk while I'm talking, we've already got a problem. That means we're just going to go back and forth over a topic, because you could have never heard me if you're staying, wait, hold on. You feel me? So let's start with basic things like listen attentively, where if you're talking, I'm listening. If I'm talking, you're listening, you know, and these things are very simple once they've been shown. And this is what I said about the DJ thing. People don't like embarrassment. None of us like embarrassment. So if all you beautiful black women are on the dance floor, tunes are going in, the DJ knows he's doing the right thing, then he goes and press the wrong button. He plays that tune that just says, okay, yeah. All of a sudden, everyone takes a little, let me go and sit down. Instantly. Not halfway through the tune and he's already called you out. Soon as you hear certain words, you make it a statement. You don't even need to approach him. People will understand that, wow, hold on, I've lost my followers. What's going on? And then, you feel me? So I'm saying we don't even need to do a lot. We just need to be consistent with being respectful to ourselves. You feel me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And my last point I want to say is, you know, back to the self-love again with the whole, okay, so we have a big issue with, and I'm just doing a little blog about this now. It's called being pro-black doesn't mean being anti-white.
Say it again.
Being pro-black doesn't mean being anti-white. And don't get me wrong, you have to be so confident in yourself. I'm confident in myself that I can speak to any white person and tell them how I feel about white people, how I feel about white issues dealing with black people. I know a lot of us aren't at that stage yet. So this is why we have these issues where everyone's in their head and, oh, I don't want to offend my white friend, or no, you know, some white people actually need this freedom when they know that, you know, you can have a conversation with them and say, listen, like, yo, like, what do you think about this issue that's going on right now? Because me and you are brethren, you know, like we're tight, you know, we do all these things together. But when stuff like this is happening, I don't hear or see you. You feel me? So like, we can't just be like sometime-ish with this thing. If it matters to us, it should matter to everyone that's in our life. And for me, I let everyone know that. My Asian friends, my white friends, don't come around me part-time, because I'm not that person. You feel me? There's no part-time. It's cool to be around black, because when it works, it works. But when it's not, when it's this stuff, I can't hear you. I don't see you. Like, so black people have to start getting comfortable with being pro-black and being unapologetic. It's not being hateful. Just like, you know what? I don't know how you feel. I don't know if your TV's been switched off for the last few days, but boy, things is getting up with my people. Do you feel me? Like, you have to do that. We have to stick it on everyone and ask them, like, can you at least let me know that you care about this stuff? If not, I'm gonna have to reevaluate our friendship. I don't need no part-time, you know, people around me. Yeah, so being pro-black doesn't mean anti-white, and I'm working on something. You'll see it on my Instagram. I was gonna put the first one up now, but you see, again, it's about not being emotional and strategically thinking about what I'm putting up, because right now I'm emotional about this, just like I know you are, and you know, because of the emotions, sometimes we can rush an action. And you know what? I don't want to labor on too much. I love having this opportunity because I'm speaking to two of my sisters who are already at the level that I don't need to filter nothing, right? But what I'm saying is, like, the marching, you know, even today is beautiful. What I saw. I vowed to myself a few years ago, because I was one of them, man. I would have the tannoy and be chatting the things and making people sing along. And you know, and we'll march. And you know, I've got to that stage where I realized that if we don't have a real game plan, you know, behind the scenes, you know, when the cameras are off, this is just an emotional reaction that the system is used to, that they're ready for, that they're okay with, yeah? And after 5 days, we go back to our same ways, yeah? And for me, that pattern is played out too long that I don't do marches. I don't mind who doesn't understand it, but, you know, the reality is now, if we're not hitting their pockets, if we're not stopping certain, you know, brands, if we decide that, you know what, Gucci ain't getting my money no more, you feel me? But
but we have to do it collectively though, Rio. That's the thing. In order for it to have that impact of an effect, we have to do it collectively. And I think that is going back to what you're saying. It's just a case where then 5 days later, then we're back to normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have to hit them, but
I think I agree with you in part, Kaz, but we've got to stop. We've got to move. Yes, collectively, and unity is the key, and we have to come together collectively. But we've got to stop looking. We've got to stop seeking the big picture and start with ourselves.
True.
So
I don't buy from Gucci anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you don't, I don't, Rio doesn't, other people don't.
I'm wearing Love Yaya, mate. I'm wearing Love Yaya, yeah? Trust.
Come on.
That's my business.
That's where the collectivity starts. It starts. Collectives are made from individuals, yeah? So the individual's got to start with themselves and then align, back to what Rob said, align with like-minded people who are also willing to do the same thing. And trust me, if each and every one takes on that mantle, then soon enough it will be a collective and everybody will be doing it. Listen, Ria, we've got a couple of other people lined up who want to jump on and talk, but thank you so much for your contribution. I just want to summarize some of the things that you said. First and foremost, you said that be unapologetically pro-black, and that doesn't mean that you're anti-white. Right. So have those conversations with other ethnicities in your circle. And it's not about accusations, it's not about blame, it's not about resentment, it's not about pointing, misdirecting your frustration or your anger or hate. It's actually having an open dialogue with these people to say, you're my friend, this has happened, we need to talk about it. We can't just be silent on the matter. It can't just be the elephant in the room. We've got to talk about it. I had a friend of mine who visited me yesterday. She's white. We had a conversation about it. We delved into it. She, you know, she has a level of understanding and she understands that she has white privilege, but we spoke about it. So I think that's one of the first things you said. Change of mindset is the other thing. So certain narratives around us as black people, you know, the N-word and all that, let's not accept it. Yeah. And the more of us that don't accept it, we stamp it out and we start to change that narrative. And just being responsible and accountable and being organized. So you can go out and march, but think about what you do after that. How do you organize after that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe as well what you're saying in terms of like even speaking to other people that is not black as well. Even as us as black people, we need to talk about the realness. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why we even, you know, it's not about having a rant, but we need to look at healing. We do need to look at getting therapy, things like that as a family. This is so essential because if we don't do it, we're going to continuously have the same thing. It's pointless building a house on sand. You just can't do it. It's going to stumble down. So we need to start healing within ourselves. We have to.
So Rio, we're going to let you go now, but what I'd ask you to do is, can you type your details in the comments for Manhood Academy, which is a fantastic organization for anyone out there who has, you know, sons, black sons. Manhood Academy is a great place to send your young man for them to literally go through the rites of passage that they need to understand their roots and identity. And also, Rio, you spoke about some stuff that's coming on your own platform. So if you could tag yourself in the comments with that as well, we'd appreciate it.
Love, love, love. Yeah, love, sisters. I'm typing away. God bless you, man. I'm still tuned in, yeah?
Thanks, Rio. Blessings. It's always a pleasure talking to Rio, isn't it?
Yeah. So refreshing. This conversation has just been absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah. I'm just in awe of it all, to be quite honest. But who we got next?
Let's see who we've got next. We've got Mr. Maurice. Let's add him.
Mr. Maurice, are you ready? There you go.
Mr. Maurice, make sure you're presentable. We don't want to catch you out like Kwame. Can we get some light on you, Mr. Maurice?
How you doing, ladies?
How you doing,
see me?
sir?
No,
Like
we
sunshine.
can't.
You can't hear me? You can't see me?
We can hear you, but your face is obscure. We need some light on your face. We can't see your face.
Can you see it now?
Just the outline.
Just the outline.
Yeah.
There's no light. There's no light shining on you.
There's no. What's going on with the cameras?
Okay, let's
just go with it anyway. So tell us who you are and what you do. And I detect a slight accent, so I'm going to ask if you're based in the UK.
No, I'm not in the UK. I am in the States, United States, California to be exact. I saw the show because I have a friend.
Apparently you've frozen. So for the viewers that are watching, they've told us that you've frozen. So what we're going to do, can you log out and log back in, and then we'll add you. Yeah. So request us and we'll add you. Log out, log back in, request us, and then we'll have a slight technical difficulties with Mr. Maurice. We are going to bring him back because actually he is watching. He's watching from California. And he has decided to join the conversation, which we really appreciate. And obviously he's in the US, so
we'll get a bit more understanding
from him. So let's go again, second time around. Maybe it could be the Wi-Fi.
I'm on my phone. I'm not on my desktop. I'm on my phone. Can you see me?
No, we can't see you. It's okay though, we can hear you. Guys, can you give us some feedback to let us know that you can hear Mr. Maurice?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm just asking for our viewers to give us feedback to let us know. We can't see you, but just to let us know that you can hear us. Guys, if you can give us a thumbs up to let us know that you can actually hear Mr. Maurice. We're having some trouble with his Wi-Fi, but if you can hear him, give us a thumbs up. So we've got a few thumbs ups. So Mr. Maurice, go ahead. You said you're joining us from California. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes. So I'm from California. I'm many things. I am an activist. I am a clergyman, preacher, and I've been marching and protesting. I'm 40, so I'm probably around you guys' ages. And so been protesting this week too. And a lot of things I've been hearing from you guys. I just got hip to you guys' show from my friend. She's in the UK, and she hipped me to you.
Mr. Maurice?
We've lost you again. Look, what we're going to try and do, we're going to disconnect with you, Mr. Maurice, because you've frozen again. It's probably something to do with your Wi-Fi. So if you can stay by your router or whatever it is. Oh, you're back.
Just give it a light.
Can you see me?
We can't see you. You need to switch your camera around.
Okay, can you see me now? Can you see me now?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Good evening. How are we doing?
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. You ladies are doing a wonderful job. I got to know about your show through my friend. She's in the UK. And so she's watching you right now. And that's why I was trying to call her, but she was watching your show. So let me call the show. What is the show about?
Hey, so friend. What's your friend's name?
Hannah. Her name is Hannah. She's a wonderful friend.
Oh, Hannah. Thank you, Hannah.
And so, I would like to say it's ordinary men chat over here, but I am an activist. I am a clergy. I've been on the front lines from California. Just trying to speak, like you said, you guys talking about good issue right now. And the global issue is not a black issue. It's a global issue, and mainly with our fellow Caucasians to the forefront, because we have been doing all what we can, being the right person, being the right citizen, loving thy neighbor and everything. They have to come to grips to understand maybe they didn't do nothing personally or the ancestors, but one thing Malcolm X says, he says a person had to be on one side of the table, you be on the other side of the table, and address your issues and air them out without getting offended, and then you can start a dialogue to address those issues and work there. The first thing we have to admit is like going to AA, you have a problem. And then once you admit that you have a problem, and then you can address those issues. If you don't admit that we have a problem, especially in America here, then you won't be able to get over the first hurdle. See what I'm saying? So again, I've been out there, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of militia groups and Caucasians and cops been infiltrating the protests to act like it's just black people looting and burning down in stores and things like that, and that's not the case. And so, but again, like you had the guy on, a few guys before, it starts within yourself, and it starts within your home, and then it starts in your neighborhood, and it goes abroad. But it's a multiple issue. It's a personal thing, physical thing, and then it's a God thing, because I have something I call your value system. If I talk to a person within 5 minutes, I would know your value system. My value system is God. So you had to go, and I know you had the young lady. She was 14 on the show. She was quite wonderful, and I agreed to a point where she said, you know, Christianity, but it was given by Europeans to us, but they understand it. But the scriptures is for us because it came out of the continent of Africa, and so it just been hijacked, and the pictures has been changed, and the information has been turned upside down, inside out. But to answer one of your questions is, we have to start with we already starting with ourselves. We just have to get our counterpart, fellow white Caucasian people to understand, and that's through dialogue. Sometimes they don't want to hear it, and the white friends that you have, hopefully they will understand and listen, so it'd be a change of mind.
Yeah.
So, I don't know other questions you have.
How do you do that though? How do you do that with because we have to accept our part in that dialogue, and we can get really frustrated and really defensive, and that's only understandable. But how do we breathe and come through with love and patience and the intent to listen and understand, to open that dialogue, so the dialogue is open and transparent? How do we broach those conversations with our fellow Caucasians or you know, people from other ethnicities? How do we start that conversation?
Just like any conversation, as you said, that's one of my mottos. If we're just kidding around, that's one thing. But if you're not listening to the conversation that you and I are having to understand, there's no point of the conversation. Because out of everything in a conversation, the greater thing to get is understanding, even if we do not agree. And so most people want to listen to react instead of listen, as you said, to understand. And so we have to listen to understand, and hopefully they are durable enough and not very thin-skinned or emotional to not be offended. It's not attacking you personally, but we're just getting a dialogue so we can get a greater understanding. We can work together. And if you're my friend, as I consider you, you're my friend, then you will understand and listen, and then we can work together. But most people feel guilt. Most people feel conviction. And that's just due to not either doing your part or from past tense and family and things. But you have to get beyond that guilt. You can overcome that by stepping forward and doing what's right. People like darkness more than light. And I'm not trying to get spiritual. So people like darkness more than light, and we have to turn on the light in their minds, in their bodies, in their soul. And I'd say people can change people by just the words they say, just the life they live. Like, Maurice, man, you're doing good. Why are you doing that? Like the brother was saying before, or why did you say that? That intrigued me. Let's go deeper, and I'm curious. Then they have an ear to hear and a mind to learn. And that's what we have to be able to do, have an ear to hear and a mind to learn. And so most people, I say, want to, most people want to learn, but they don't want to be taught. The difference between the two is I can learn that the wind is blowing outside by just looking outside. But then if I get to a forecaster, he's going to tell me precipitation. He's going to tell me cloud coverage. So you're going to have to listen to someone. You have to be silent, listen, hear what they say, and take in and so forth. And so that's what we have to do.
But that's similar to what Ria was saying earlier on. We have to have the intent to want to listen. And again, it's coming back to teaching each other. You understand what I'm saying? Regardless of what your viewpoints are, but in order for us to move forward, we have to get an understanding. So we have to listen. And that's why we're having these conversations.
It's about that dialogue. Listen, Maurice, we thank you so much for your contribution all the way from California. One question I have for you, actually, before you go is, obviously we're feeling it over here. you know, just having seen it, you're actually there on the turf that it happened, living it. What can we do in the UK? You know, we've already started by having this live, and there's protests, etc., going on, and we're raising awareness. But what can we do as our American brother over there? What can we do in the UK to support you guys and stand in solidarity? Just give us that and leave us with that.
Just keep spreading the message to fight systemic racism and overcome justice with good, even with your. I always say, if you're a good persuader through relationship, friendship with the other counterpart, because it's not us, it's others that don't understand or too scared to accept. So it's us to share that, because we already look intimidating to them from our, you know, from our color, from our Zeke, our tone of voice, but that's they get that mixed up with passion. So we have to just be able to be open, give a clear dialogue, and try to articulate the best way we can to be able to share with them. And so recruit as much as you can.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Maurice.
This won't be my last time. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
ladies.
Listen, we are with you, and we will find justice. We will seek justice. It will happen.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh, no. I was just saying, I have my organization, Manhood of America, is to help promote young Black men from the ages 5 to 35. And so that's to be mentors to them, to be better husbands, fathers, brothers, sons, friends, cousins, too. And
can you type that? Can you type those details into the chat? We're going to leave it here, but please type those details into the chat so that people can go on and look for that. I think it's quite fitting that you followed Rio from Manhood Academy. We definitely need global collaboration and connecting those dots. So Maurice, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Maurice.
Take care. Be blessed, ladies. Thank you.
You too.
God bless.
Bye.
Thank you. So Gemma, wait. Oh, who's it next? Oh, so. Oh, didn't we have Rob already? No. Oh, okay. Right. So Rod. I haven't seen him properly.
Rod, we have just added you. Rod is in Jamaica. Rod, we're hoping that you can join us. We do want to get a global perspective on this. So, Rod, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, ladies.
On the beautiful island of Jamaica. Not that we're jealous right now.
We're still, you know, in the afternoon here, and it's been a great program. I really want to congratulate you. Some really meaningful contributions, and I just wanted to share a quick perspective from Jamaica as a Jamaican man. I wanted to start with something of a confession. You know, traveling to the US as a young man, a lot of times you walk down the street, you take the subway, and our fellow brothers, our African-American brothers, will look over, and any of us who have traveled to the US, you know, normally there's eye contact and there's a little nod, you know, like, hey, I'm with you. And, you know, initially I couldn't relate to that, coming from Jamaica, living in Jamaica, growing up in a Black majority country, because the level of oppression and looking over your shoulder we don't really have. We're far from perfect in Jamaica, but we don't feel that level of, you know, I'm watching your back. It got to the point for me where it would be irritating sometimes, because I'd be like, why are you nodding? I don't know you, right? I'm Black, you're Black, respect, but who are you? I don't know you. Why are you nodding at me? You know what I mean? And I think probably for the first time this week, I really deeply understood, you know, why that is done, and why, you know, every person you pass of color, certainly men in the US, in the cities that I've traveled to, you know, there's that acknowledgement and that almost that bond in terms of just that little nod. So I wanted to say that because, you know, a lot of us come from different realities. We're a third world country. We're not having any demonstrations in Jamaica this week. Not that we aren't talking about it a lot and relating to it. Our police force is far from perfect. But at the same time, I don't think we have gun confrontations here, and the police certainly kill people armed and unarmed sometimes, but usually it is in some kind of confrontational mode. I don't think there'll be anywhere in Jamaica where the police, 3-4 police officers would restrain an unarmed person and do what that man did for 8 minutes and not have some other people run to that person's assistance.
Absolutely.
Right? And that says a lot. And that says a lot about that system, you know, the system which is so conditioned to I have to use the word oppress. There's no other word. It's oppression.
Well, those people would have feared for their life.
And that's the reason why they couldn't jump in.
Wouldn't they? They would have feared for their life.
They would.
And so that would have created inaction, physical inaction.
And I'm sure even now, those people are probably looking back and probably thinking, you know, not saying necessarily there would be, why didn't I do something? Why didn't I intervene?
Right.
Because I'm saying, I'm sure that's probably going through their mind, seeing what the end result is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
I do.
At the end of the day, it's like, because, you know, when you've been oppressed in a certain way, it's kind of like we've been, you know, you've been brought. Remember, as slaves, we've been seeing this. Do you understand what I'm saying?
For too long.
The lynching, that's lynching. That's been going on for years.
It is, and it's sad to see that level of conditioning. So it really goes to, you know, you had some really good discussions earlier about the history with the head of that school, who was really very, very frank. And the truth is that we have to maybe reach out to a lot of our philanthropists, the Dangotes in South Africa, in Nigeria, the other black billionaires, and say, look, you guys need to put a fund together for us to establish the curricula, to establish the books, to establish the documentaries that are right beside the Hollywood blockbusters in terms of accessibility.
Come on now.
Okay, I listened to the 14-year-old Beautiful Spirit, and she got to the point, which is, you know, we can see us getting to the dream in America, in the entertainment world. And what America and Hollywood has done really well is promoted that we are the epitome of success in this space, right? So we have to start also changing that narrative.
Yes.
And expanding our minds that there are other markets, right? And just start to build that catalog. We have to do it.
What do you do? What do you do, if you don't mind me asking? What for those?
Sure. I'm a lawyer here in Jamaica. Been a lawyer for a little while. I also.
You actually have your own practice, right?
I do. Yeah, I do have my own practice. We do a mix of industries. We have done sports and entertainment. I was with the cricket board for about 10 years. At the time, I was the youngest director, and I was its legal advisor. I was a marketing rep for the West Indies board here in Jamaica for about 4 years. And you know, in entertainment, represented Beanie Man, who's back in the limelight. Anybody listening? Toots and the Maytals, a couple of people. So I've gotten a lot of knowledge from their life-to-life experiences, from seeing them go through the struggle, because a lot of times we look at people in different places and think, oh, their life is easy. No, it's not. And what, you know, this and the shooting of the guy who was jogging has taught us is that when you leave your own country, wherever that is, and you touch, you know, a different country, you're nobody. And you have to understand that no matter how much you believe in yourself and how much pride and courage and strength and intelligence you have, when you go to someone else's country, that is wiped off the agenda.
Or when you're taken, when you're forcibly removed from your home and taken into somebody else's country as well. Let's talk it as it is, right?
Well, that's a serious point. And you know, unfortunately, we've had hundreds of years of not even being able to speak comfortably about that reality, right? So you spoke earlier about the history and the British history not bothering to mention these atrocities that were done just to even you know, reference them to say, look, this happened the same way Hitler and the atrocities to the Jews are referenced, you know, eulogized in so many films, so many Oscars, so that, you know, everyone who lives on this planet understands the pain the Jews went through. We have a couple of sort of bookmarks to kind of reference that, but nothing as resonant and nothing as apologetic is really the key. So
listen,
you know,
somebody said your tone is very soothing, and they're looking at the trees in the background, and it's very idyllic. So in your soothing tone, Rod, because we've got a couple, we're probably going to cut off in about 10 minutes. So we've got a couple more people that we want to bring on. In your soothing tone, please give us a gem or a bit of advice to say, even if it's you're talking to your people in Jamaica, because this is a global problem, whether we realize it or not.
It is.
What would you advise that people will do to make a start to make the change?
Well, the first thing we have to do is all agree that it was murder, right? This person was not causing any harm or any threat to these people. So we all watched in afternoon television around the world a human being being murdered by another human being. And so once you kind of accept that, then you understand how absolutely disgusting an act it is. Now, once you do that, you then say, okay, was it, and there are many conspiracy theories, right? And the other issue which I want to mention with the gem, Janelle, is, you know, we are inciting demonstrations now, and COVID is out there, so please protect yourselves. Right? Killer Mike gave a really interesting speech this week as well in Atlanta, and he said, don't burn down your house. Don't burn down your home, because we have to come back to something.
Yeah.
So we have to also be very careful about the response as well, because when you look at the disproportionate effect COVID is having in the communities, you look at all sorts of issues, right? I think self-responsibility for your home, for your space, for your community is what I think would be the thing I'd like to say to everybody. Look at your immediate environment, not just your four walls, not just your lockdown, but what's the community you are involved in, you relate to, you can impact, and start to work there. You know, Orlando Patterson said this week, what we're seeing is a systematic structure, which is a police force. So it really doesn't matter who, you know, the head of the police is. And he actually, you'll find this really interesting, he actually compared the British police force to the US police force. And he said the young Jamaicans in the 60s and 70s who went to the UK, even when they were abused, they would never fear being killed. And he said maybe that partially is that the British force then didn't carry weapons, but there was still just a respect for life within the system. And it really hit me because, yes, and then we see where a lot of police forces all over the world are modeled on the same system that the American force is. So one of the things we have to do now is say, don't completely ostracize the police, because we do need the rule of law and order. But then look at the system and say, look, this needs to change. The training, the individuals, the selection process, that needs to change. And where we spend our money needs to change.
On that note, way we spend our money,
it's very important, and
needs to change.
I want to bring some sunshine.
Thank you so much. We have been having some, by the way, but nothing compared to what you're having. So thanks for bringing it.
All right. Yeah, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Okay, bless up.
Blessing. Yeah, man.
This was an international conversation. I'm just loving this, you know. So who we got next because of time?
Oh my gosh, we've got so many.
Oh wow.
Oh no, viewers. Okay, so we were going to add, is it Gemma? Gemma Court. I think Gemma Court, you wanted to join, so we're going to add you.
Gemma.
While we're waiting for Gemma to join, guys, because this will probably be the last. Hi, Gemma.
Hi.
Hello, darling.
This is a very weird. I don't do these kind of things, so I
No, you don't.
I didn't come prepared. No lipstick, no nothing.
You look beautiful.
And not the experience of your other speakers. So, yeah. My big thing is when anybody goes into any workspace, that when you get a job, there should be some training that you do not assume that everybody views everybody else equally. Jane Elliott is the anti-racism activist. If you watch any of her videos from however far back, they rock you to the core. Like,
yeah,
they are straight to the point. She is savage. She leaves no room for emotion, no room for you saying whining or saying but. You know, people through white privilege do not see that.
So who's Jane Elliott? Sorry, I just need to understand.
So she is this anti-racism activist that I believe started working in the 60s, but I don't know if she's still here, but she was active all the way through the 70s, the 80s, but her videos are amazing. She did there's a very famous experiment called the brown eye, blue eye experiment, and it's the way she shows like a mixed room of people, the basis of how privilege works and how people don't understand. They are so ensconced in their privilege that they have no idea that they have it. They have the complete assumption that they are going through the world treating everybody equally and fairly. And she does not mince her words, and her exercises are strong and really kind of put you in that position of confronting, you know, what people do find very difficult.
So listen, we've obviously been talking about solutions to, we've called it a pandemic because that's what it is. It's a global pandemic of oppression, and particularly oppression against people with colour. And we need to find the solutions. We need to find a cure, and there isn't any one solution. So from your perspective, Gemma, tell us what you think real people every day can do, something that somebody tomorrow can get up and do to help make a change, that collective change.
That is what I would say. Go YouTube, go Google Jane Elliott, and just let yourself watch the videos again and again, and that she does it with different generations and in different years and different groups of people, different types of people, and just and feel how comfortable or uncomfortable or just so right she gets it. Because I think there's too much mollycoddling of people trying to be too politically correct around something where the problem is that the political correctness isn't there and people are not being treated equally, but they are so scared to point that out to people and say, well, actually, you know, maybe you're coming from the wrong place. You know, white people in the workplace, in schools, wherever, anywhere where there's a mixed community. I don't know what the answer is.
I think that's part of the answer, Gemma. I think you've articulated it quite perfectly, which is wherever you see it, you've got to call it out. You've got to call it out. You've got to say something. You cannot be silent. Silence is no longer an option for anybody. It's not just for us as the minority to call it out, but it's for people who are in the workplace, mostly the majority white people, to actually say to their colleague, that's offensive, that's racist. Use the R word, use racism, say it.
And I can see Mr. Maurice is saying here, Jane Elliott is okay. And I understand that perspective, but you don't realize what a starting point a lot of people come from, where that to them is so revolutionary and so mind-blowing that you kind of have to assume that give the people that first and then hit them with the harder stuff. Like there's I think that's half the problem, is that there's a general assumption that people are good, and I'm not saying people are bad, but that people have a level of goodness in their heart.
Gemma, we're going to have to stop because we've only got like 27 minutes remaining.
Seconds.
Gosh, I mean minutes. Wow. Seconds remaining. So what we're going to do,
I think we have to end it here because it's quite late, but we are going to come back, guys. We're thinking of running a series. So if you'd like that, please DM us and let us know. Thank you all for watching, and we will continue the conversation.